According to the atomic clock, it is 5 p.m. in Albany County, and I would like to call the July 23rd Public Works Committee meeting to order. I'm Paul Bergdorf. I am the chair, and I would like us to go around the room and introduce the members, their name, and their district.
Paul Miller, 32nd District in Gilman.
John Fernandez, 7th District, Cohoes.
Merton Simpson, 2nd District, Albany.
Dennis Feeney, District 28, but I'm not a member of the committee.
Frank Moriello, District 27, southwest corner of the town of Colony.
Chris Smith, the Hilltowns. Joe O'Brien, West Albany, Loudonville, District 25.
Okay, the first order of business is to approve the previous meeting minutes. People had an opportunity to review them. Any suggestions, edits? If not, I would entertain a motion. Moved by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Moriello. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, the minutes are passed. All right, let's start with number one. Authorizing an agreement with Milton Cat Power Systems regarding the removal and replacement of the switchgear and generators at the correctional facility. Sheriff?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is very important. It's vital to our operations up at the facility. The existing generators and switchgear had a 20-life longevity. They were up to, I think, year 25 plus at this point. It was bonded number 31 of 2019. $2.7 million bond. Our quote in at Milton Cat is 2.2 and a little bit of change. They're going to go off of a national cooperative contract. Seeker's been completed. Everything else is done. We're just looking for approval to move on. I will throw out that yesterday we lost power for 18 minutes because we couldn't switch the generators on. Happened at 10:57 p.m. and it's not really a place where we want to lose power or lights. So.
Okay. Is this equipment readily available?
They actually have to build
ordered?
it. They have to build it. It takes 10 months to build, so the sooner that we can get everything out, the better off we'll be.
Okay.
And then it's a very in-depth project. We have to take out a wall and everything. God bless you.
God bless. Does the existing equipment have any residual or trade-in value, or what will you do with it?
I really can't answer that at this point. We're not sure until they get in there and start to go through it. The switchgear has got to be replaced regardless. Some of the generators may be able to be salvaged, but as of right now, like I said yesterday, we had to bring maintenance in and do a hand switch. So we were down for 18 minutes. So I'm not sure what the value will be at the end of it. Usually we rely on County Highway, see if they can reuse our generators or anything to that effect.
Okay. Members of the committee, questions, comments? If not, motion by Mr. Miller.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The matter is passed. Thank you very much, Sheriff.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Godspeed.
Nice to meet everybody
Keep
on
the
the
lights
Public
on.
Works Committee.
All right, Mr. Angelo, greetings. Number two, authorizing an agreement with Prime Highway Contractors Incorporated regarding the construction of an emergency CR6 culvert replacement for tributary to the Switskill Creek project in the town of Plymouth.
Yes, we're requesting that the legislative committee authorize us to move forward with the construction of an emergency culvert replacement on County Route 6. The culvert recently began showing signs of failure. As a result, temporary measures were performed to keep the roadway open to traffic. It's actually one of the hauling routes for our hauling and placing that we're unfortunately have to use. We received 3 quotes from various contractors. We reviewed the quotes. We'd like to recommend the low bidder, Prime Highway Contractors. We are in agreement with our hired consultant, Creighton Manning Engineering. Contract is not to exceed an amount of $627,250.08.
Now, this was an unanticipated, unbudgeted expense for this year. You've determined a funding stream?
Yes, the commissioner has found some money in a previous bond that was for highway work.
Okay. Now, in some of our recent culvert replacements, there are long lead times. for the culverts. How is this going to be handled because of the emergency nature?
Okay, well, the long lead times generally relate to concrete box culverts this year. For whatever reason, there's a lot of demand. So what we are going with is a structural plate arch. So we're going to drive piles into the stream bed, we're going to cap them with concrete, and they're going to bring an arch and construct the arch on top of the footings. The arch is available, and all the material is available and ready to go.
Okay, members of the committee, any questions, comments?
Motion to move.
Moved by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Mr. Ansel.
Yes, would it be possible at this time to request permission to move forward with the contract authorization due to the emergency status?
Well, obviously, with the emergency status, we want to repair this as quickly as possible, given whatever constraints council feels that we need to enter into.
Just for the committee's knowledge, we've done this in the past in emergency circumstances such as this. Given the unique circumstances here, what the committee will be doing is authorizing the Department of Public Works to proceed, and that will be, contingent on passage, but this will pass, without speaking to the legislature, this will pass on the 13th. We don't want to create more issues by waiting 2 weeks, and so that's what this committee would be giving authorization to do, to get going.
So should we have to,
So I would just say, motion to...
Motion.
Right.
Would you like
Authorize.
to
Yeah.
amend your motion?
yes, based on what he said, an emergency,
Second.
all those in favor, right?
The motion is met. Do we need to amend the
No, this would be just,
Addition.
an understanding of...
Okay, so it's motion made by Mr. O'Brien, seconded by Mr. Miller. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Fix the
Much
road.
appreciated.
Fix the road.
We'll have a pre-con meeting probably Thursday. Hopefully, we'll start on Monday. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Number 3, authorizing an agreement with Tracy Road Equipment, Inc. regarding the purchase of, it's actually 4 tandem dump trucks, but a total of 5 trucks.
That's correct. We're requesting legislative approval to enter into a contract with Tracy Road Equipment for purchase of 1 6x6 and 4 6x4 tandem dump trucks. Trucks will be purchased using Onondaga County's contract as part of the department's vehicle and truck replacement in the capital program. Total cost for the 5 trucks will be an amount not to exceed $1,024,179. There was a quote, a contract, copy of the Onondaga County's contract attached to the information provided.
Okay, and my understanding is you are now standardizing on a new truck, correct?
Yeah, these are Western Stars to replace the Internationals that we previously purchased that we've had nothing but issues with. I believe there's actually a lawsuit statewide involving these International trucks that we're going to be party to. But that being said, we need to move forward with the purchase of new plow trucks.
What's the lead time on these?
I want to say about 6 months.
January. February.
I think we better do this tonight. Okay, any questions, comments? If not, I would entertain a motion. Moved by Mr. Moriello, seconded by Mr. Smith. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. There we go. Trucks. Number 4, authorizing a supplemental agreement with MJ Engineering and Land Surveying, PC, regarding design services for the Albany County Rail Trail over New Scotland Road, New York State 85 Bridge Replacement Project.
Yes, this is the third supplemental. We came previously asked for supplemental 1 and 2 on the contract. Supplemental 1 was in relation to the emergency repairs, the design and inspection thereof for the bridge in Slingerlands. The second was for the seeker that we decided we had to go type 1 due to the type of structure and the community considerations. And this third supplemental adds $31,000 to the original contract for a new total, including the other 2 agreements, to $159,500. And that's for the additional work provided with the charrette. We're doing a design charrette this Thursday
Could you explain to the members of the committee who may not know what
Oh, I'm
a
sorry,
charrette
yes.
is?
A charrette
what a
is where
charrette
you sit down and discuss different options for the bridge. There's a lot of controversy, I'll say. Some people would like to see the existing bridge rehab, other people would like to see it replaced with a bridge that looks similar to the structure, and yet another people would like to see it replaced with a different type of structure altogether. So we're gonna sit down with probably 15 to 20 stakeholders, and we have handouts, we have renderings, there's a whole presentation we're going to go through, and hopefully at the end of this design charrette, we'll come up with something that we can have at our next public hearing to show the public what our decision was.
Now, will the design charrette be public, or the results of it will be discussed at a public meeting?
The results will be discussed at a public meeting.
Okay, so your meeting with your stakeholders is more of a roundtable in-house?
Yes.
Okay. Questions, comments? Chris?
Is it true there's a group of people that don't want it raised, or, I mean, are you raising it, looking,
That's true.
because they
And we're
don't
trying
like
to
the
sit
truck?
down with everybody involved and make a smart decision, and hopefully the charrette will flesh all that out.
Perfect, so the people included is that group?
Yes, we have some of those included in that group, yes, sir.
Awesome.
All right. Any questions, comments? If not, I'll accept the motion by Mr. Premiere, second by Mr. Moriello. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matter is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
All right, the next one is Commissioner Phelan, authorizing the renewal of an operating and management agreement with Spectator Management Group for the Times Union Center.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We have two handouts for this. Kevin's got it.
For the committee members, the first handout is from our purchasing department, addressing the procurement issue, which Bob and Sean and the county attorney will address if asked. And the second is from Bob, Mr. Belber, regarding the events that are issued going forward in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
As you well know, that our agreement, the agreement between the county and SMG concludes at the end of next year, the current one. SMG cannot manage outside of the window that their contract lies. Through that, we negotiated with SMG for a mutually beneficial agreement going forward that in term would start at the beginning of next year, continue for 6 years, and then an option to renew for another 6 years after that. The revenue changing that should be highlighted is the first $600,000 instead of originally $550 roughly would go to the county. And through that first million, 72% would be county, 28% SMG. A 70-30 split from the 1 million mark to 1.5 million, and then a 65-35 split for all dollars after that. We have done a pretty good year, as Bob has brought to the attention of this committee and possibly Audit and Finance, that we were having a good year. We want to continue doing as well as we are doing, and booking as many shows as we can to continue on in that regard. With that being said, I don't think I'm missing any big points, County Attorney, or?
Well, there was a question that I had raised as a result of several members asking me, which was, how does this comply with our county procurement guidelines? And that's why we have a memo from the procurement director. But I understand that in essence, we would be asking for an exemption from the county procurement guidelines.
Yes.
Would you like to comment on that?
Sure, absolutely. As you're aware, SMG has been the operator of the facility since its inception in 1990. It was originally bid back then, and each of the renewals have been 10-year new operating agreements where the county legislature has waived the county's procurement policy as it regards to the necessity of an RFP again. So Pursuant to the general municipal law, professional services such as this does not need to be bid. It does need to be bid, however, based upon Albany County procurement. There is an opportunity for the legislature to waive the necessity for that bid, and that's what has been done traditionally in the past with SMG as the operator, and that's what the ask is moving forward in this particular agreement.
Okay. Questions from the committee?
Yeah, have you gotten an opinion from the state controller on this at all, or?
Yes. So this issue was raised back in 1999. The Albany County Controller asked for a legal opinion from the Office of State Controller, which was provided, and it essentially says the same exact thing. It's not applicable to the general municipal law, but it may be applicable pursuant to the county procurement. They do not get into the fine details of what the county procurement policy or Albany County's county procurement policy says, but there is the ability in reading the procurement policy to, in fact, waive the necessity to rebid.
So back in 1999, 20 years ago, we got an approval, so to speak, from the state controller. I believe at the time it was either Hevesy or Carl McCall or something. Do you think we can get a new updated opinion from them?
We can make the request. The law hasn't changed in the area in reviewing the issue.
So don't you think 20 years has passed and maybe just to have another opinion from the new controller?
The request can be made.
Okay.
I will turn the answer to that question and why SMG is looking to move this forward sooner rather than later. And Bob certainly can address that, but the issue of any future bookings from January 1st of 2021, it limits their ability to book out from that, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, if you don't mind me saying a few things on this. First of all, there are numerous contracts that I can't sign that are in my hands, but I can't sign them, which have been in my hands for 5-6 months now. And so we've got the 2021 NCAA women's basketball. We've got an extension for Siena basketball that goes through 2025. We've got an extension for the Albany football team for 2023, I think it goes through, and numerous other, Feld Entertainment and others. And so in the past, with our terms, we've always, about a year and a half, 18 months out, we've always presented a proposal to extend the contract and negotiated an mutually acceptable deal. In the case of 1999, when that was requested from Mike Connor's office, I was here. I started in 1994. I can tell you that that request, from start to finish, took about 7 months to get that back. In my opinion, I think if we put that in again and it takes that kind of time, it will severely damage relationships between my office and event producers, as well as the NCAA and others. They don't understand why contracts can't be signed and sent back in most cases. I think to Mr. Lynch's credit, we've done a dive on this as far as the laws go, and it hasn't changed. Nothing has changed since 1999. The opinion is likely going to be the same. The opinion letter, I don't know if it's something that you have shared or want to share, but at the end of the day, I've read through it, and it does state that the county has the right, if the county deems it to be appropriate, and to your best interest, to proceed without going to an RFP. That's what it basically states. Obviously, you've got the ability to do whatever you want to do, and I'm never going to sit here and tell you what to do or how to do it. But I think that we've got a very, very strong deal on your side of the table. And I say that because, in that way, because my relationship with all of you and with the county in my past 25 years is where a county hat and where an SMG hat. And I think in this case, we've negotiated a very, very good deal for the county with first $600,000 in net operating revenues to the county. And there's a merger that's going to take place between SMG and AEG Facilities. AEG Facilities is the second biggest facility management company in the world. SMG is the biggest. So that merger is expected to be finalized on August 16th. A new company is going to be formed, which is going to be ASM Global. So AEG Facilities and SMG will come together. So the reason I bring that up is because if an RFP was to go out, there are only a limited number of companies out there that are really legitimately big enough to, and have the viability and relationships and everything else to be able to operate buildings of this size and nature. In my opinion, the only one that was even close to us was AEG. So now you've got the two strongest companies in the world together as one. And an arm of AEG Facilities is AEG Live. AEG Live is the second biggest promoting company, only second behind Live Nation. And so AEG has Ed Sheeran and Taylor Swift and Blake Shelton and many big talents. The deal structure that we put together is such that there's an incentive for SMG to keep putting as many shows in annually as possible, because there'll be a small percentage of revenues that come back to SMG. So what does that mean for Albany County? The net operating income that we've had annually has been anywhere from $1.2 million to $1.4 million on average for the last 7 or 8 years. This year, it's going to probably be somewhere close to $1.6 million, $1.7 million. It's going to be a higher year, could even be higher, depending on how things go the rest of the year. My point in bringing that up is because with the AEG and SMG merged companies and the arm of AEG Live that's going to be putting out 30 to 50 tours a year, depending on how many artists are touring, may allow us to grow that number well above 2 million. And we may have, instead of 20 concerts a year, it may be 35 or 40. And so the net for Albany County has every potential to go up much higher than where it is. The old contract, or the current contract that would end at the end of this year, next year, I'm sorry, has a cap in the amount that SMG can earn, which is currently capped at the same amount as the management fee. With this new deal, the cap is removed, so the incentive compensation for SMG would continue to go. So if we bring in $4 million or $5 million, the SMG gets that small portion, but Albany County gets the much bigger portion. So my point is, I think that we're going to be able to do even better than what we've done in the last 29 years or 30 years that we've been doing it.
If I could just follow up, Mr. O'Brien. If we resubmitted this to the Office of State Controller, I think we'll get the same response, which will be, we're not going to dissect a county's procurement policy. That's for this body to do. So for that, looking at it that way, our procurement policy on this issue hasn't changed since 1999.
And you said the municipal law hasn't changed it as well? Okay. I'm fine.
Let me just try to summarize here. Like you just said, on the general municipal law side, there has not been a change. You are asking for an exemption from the county procurement policy because of these circumstances and the expertise of the newly constituted SMGAE. And is that something that we could put in the resolution so that it's clear that this is an exemption? Because I look at things as what we do as a precedent. So anytime someone's going to break with a precedent, we need to have transparency, and we need to discuss the reasons why we would consider doing it.
So to answer the question, as we've done this in the past, specific with SMG, we'll put language in the resolution just to make it clear that this is, you're authorizing an exemption, a request for an exemption to the county procurement policy, as we've done in the past with this contract, for the reasons that was stated at the other end of the table, and that's how it'll appear on the agenda.
I'm fine.
Comments?
I'm fine with it.
Everybody,
Sounds like a good deal for the county and a good deal for SMG.
okay, any other comments? If not, I would entertain a motion with the directions to Kevin to include the language that he stated. Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Moriello, made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Congratulations, Mr. Phelps.
Thank you very much.
Very much proud.
Thank you very much.
All right, number 6, Commissioner Latina.
Good evening.
Authorizing an agreement with Cone Incorporated regarding the replacement of 3 passenger elevators at the Times Union Center. How timely?
Very good. We've gone with the Kone U.S. National Cooperative contract. Kone came in, they did a survey of the elevators as far as repair, and it's a lot better for us to just replace the elevators with machine roomless elevators. So what they'll be doing is they'll be gutting the shafts. The design on these is a 12 or 16 week out. So with this contract, they will design. By that time, we can get the MEP work done on. We're gonna have to do some general construction to raise the shafts up a little bit. We gotta bring them up maybe about a foot to 18 inches, and some electrical work in there. And then this will change all 3 elevators in the Times Union building to machine roomless elevators.
Okay. Now, the proposal from Cone, is that as part of a sort of a mini bid structure?
Yes, this is a U.S. Communities. These are set pricing through U.S. Communities. So what they do is they come in and design, and that's their pricing that they have. So it's not like it's one elevator for over here is going to be the same price as it is over here. There's no cost difference. The only difference is really in the design portion of it.
Okay. So every commodity has a mini bid, it seems nowadays.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, and when would the time frame for this project be?
Well, we're looking at, as soon as this goes, they get their contract, it's a 12 to 16 week build to make these elevators, these machine roomless elevators. In this time, we will start to do some of the general construction work, as I say, raising the shafts up because they're gonna need a little bit more headroom on these machine roomless. So we're figuring probably, I would probably say by February, hopefully these will be done, as long as we can get the concrete work and stuff like that done, the weather holds out.
All righty, any questions, comments, concerns, members of the committee? If not, I would entertain a motion. Motion by Mr. Kinnear, seconded by Mr. Smith. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you, Commissioner. Okay. Mr. Guido, Angelo, welcome this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Authorizing an agreement with the Albany Water Board regarding the Beaver Creek Clean River Facility Project.
Yes, thank you. So the Beaver Creek project is a project that the Albany Water Board is doing as part of the long-term control plan, basically, which is comprised of the Albany pool communities, or 6 communities. The initial concept of the project was to do a screening facility in Lincoln Park and to have those removed at the park. There was some public outcry about having all the trucking and the removal there for a variety of different reasons, including odor. So the Albany Water Board had reached out to the district, and basically the concept that we came up with was to have the screenings done at our South Plant facility. So basically there's going to be a facility in Lincoln Park where the screens will be captured and essentially diverted down to the South Plant for removal. And then the Albany Water Board, as part of that project, would do disinfection at Lincoln Park. So basically, this agreement is to essentially memorialize what the requirements are for the improvements at the South Plant. So namely, they are going to be replacing the mechanical screens at our South Plant. In addition, they're going to be providing us a new dumpster truck along with dumpsters for the screenings. And then there's also some valve improvements on some of our sludge pumps.
So basically, all that is essentially memorialized in this memo of understanding with the water board. And at least from our perspective, the costs are going to be borne by the Albany pool communities as part of the long-term control plan. So there is no cost directly to the district for these improvements.
Mr. Guardiola, would you just comment a little bit on who the members of the group are that will be underwriting this cost?
So the Albany pool communities, it's Albany, Troy, Cohoes, Rensselaer, Watervliet, and Green Island. They each are, through the agreement that's set in place as part of the pool communities, have a certain percentage of the cost. Troy and Albany basically bear the majority of it. I think they're 92 to 93% of the overall cost, and then each of the other communities have a smaller percentage. So really, it's going to be Albany at the largest percent. They have 58% of the cost, and Troy is 35% for the agreement that was established. And again, the other communities have kind of smaller percentages.
Now, would you also comment a little bit on the DEC agreement, and what this will do in terms of mitigating any overflow waste?
Yeah, so part of the long-term control plan is essentially mitigate overflows, CSO, SSOs to the river. So this project in particular will help mitigate that by essentially capturing the screenings and directing those down to our south facility for removal. In addition, they're doing disinfection at the Lincoln Park facility, so any water that is sent out to the river via overflow will actually be disinfected prior to discharge.
And what's the status of the project right now?
They actually just received the engineering report, is my understanding. I'm waiting to get a copy of that myself, but they are moving forward with the design. Again, we are waiting to kind of see what those documents are, but I haven't seen it yet, but they are moving forward. We expect to have that done by the end of this year, at least from the design perspective.
And if the design is complete by the end of the year, what would the future look going forward for the actual construction?
I think they're looking at roughly a 1-year construction period, so by the completion of, say, 2020.
Great. Good. Members of the committee, questions, comments, observations? Hearing none, would entertain a motion. Moved by Mr. Miller, seconded by Mr. Dow. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Lease.
Okay, sure. 8, 9, and 10 are all lease agreements at the TU. Does anybody have an objection to grouping them? If so, I'd like to have a motion. Make a motion.
Second.
Made by Mr. Miller, seconded by Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor of grouping them, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Consider them grouped.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, I just want to introduce to the committee some key people that are involved with the Times Union Center that have been with me for anywhere from 18 to 21 years. Director of Operations, Nathan Sims, my assistant GM, Doug McLean, who's also the general manager of the Albany Capital Center, and Jennifer Chaffee is our director of finance. And these folks are very important to the operation. Just wanted to bring them over and make sure you could meet them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Welcome.
Welcome, you're doing a great job.
I just have a question about them now. How many companies can actually go in on a suite?
That's a good question.
I mean, can I just get a group of my friends together and we want to share them?
There's you get to the top of the waiting list.
Yeah, I know. But like,
And there is a long waiting list. But there's one particular suite that used to be called the 8+ suite. And there were 8 members in there. And I think there's 6 in there now. But there was one suite that had 8. The highest number is the same one with 6. Most of them have 4 or 2. I would say the overwhelming number of suites that we have is a sole company, like Bank of America or
right.
But that's a good question. The ones that are on the waiting list all want their own.
okay. Perfect.
And there's 22 companies on the list.
Yeah.
Well, you want to take us through these, Bob, or at least talk about them generically? Are they all the same revenue?
That ran last year, didn't it?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, that was a while.
It's been a tough few weeks.
So all of these suites have the same exact revenue coming in. It's 51,000 that's coming in each year for 3 years, which is the same increase as the previous month's approvals for the other suites. The Chicago Title I, suite number 25, that does have one new person in there, which is Maurice Tessier is in, and there was another two-seat holder in the suite, as you said, that came out. That and one other suite are the only two openings that we had in potential renewals or suites that could be contracted. Suite number 6, which is the Ortho New York suite, is the same people that have been in there before, and Trustco Bank is also a renewal. It's been there for a long term. So all of these, with the exception of just 2 seats out of Suite 25, are renewals.
Okay. Any further questions of the committee?
No.
If not, we accept the motion made by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. 8, 9, and 10 are approved. Number 11, is this are you the cleaning contract as well?
Yeah, so the authorization?
Authorization renewal of an agreement with Executive Cleaning Services of Albany regarding janitorial and cleaning services at Hygiene Center.
Yeah, so this is, in the current contract, there was a provision that allowed us to allow this committee to extend the current contract, and we're asking to exercise an option to extend for 3 more years. The existing contract with Melville Cove and Executive Cleaning, they've done a good job. They continue to do a good job. He's there every night. I don't know how he does it at his age, but he is he's somebody who really goes after it.
Can I just ask a procedural question?
Sure.
After you have had an event which is a sellout, okay, and you have whatever is under the seats, under the benches, etc., how many people do they come in with, and how long does it take?
It's a really good question also, because that changes every night. Unfortunately, you know, the same people are not on the cleanup crew every night. He brings in people from Labor Ready. He has the same 20 or 25 that normally come in, but on a big sellout event like that, you probably are looking at 35 or 40 people that will be coming in. And he has a method of his madness, you know, to get everything picked up and then to get the concrete clean where there's spills and the exterior of the facility. You know, he knows what's important to us. We want to make sure that commuters are not walking through trash on the sidewalks, but yet we also need to have the inside done. So by 8 a.m. the next morning, we want that building clean, and he knows it.
So, but I mean, is it liable to take from 11 o'clock at night till 8 in the morning? Or?
Oh, absolutely. He still has people after 8 in the morning that are still cleaning up.
Wow.
That would be a fun field trip.
Motion to move.
Yeah.
Motion to move.
Moved by Mr. O'Brien. Seconded by Mr. Moriello. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Carried.
Thank you very much.
You want to do your income statements? Sure. There's a hand.
We got 'em.
You got a handout for that? Or?
We got them.
I'm sorry, I didn't get
You
it.
have one. I think we all have.
I'll read it. I'll read it for you.
We're having a hell of a year, I'll tell you that. Thank you so much. So, through the end of June, on the year-to-date, right now, the county is looking at $1.7 million as a number that's, if it were to end, if the calendar year was to end today, the county would receive $1.7 million. I think that number is going to go up between now and the end of the year. I don't think it'll double, but I think it's going to go up. We've got a strong fall coming in. We've had probably the best 6 months in the history of the building. The Performance Magazine is kind of our Bible of the industry for entertainment. And there's a mid-year edition that comes out around the 1st of July. That came out and we were ranked 52nd worldwide and 29th in the US, which is probably one of 3 buildings and 3 rankings in the company. We're in the top 3 in the company, in the history of the company, in that ranking. So we're very happy with that. And everything has been selling very well. The upcoming events in August with Jonas Brothers is going to be a sellout. It's not quite sold out yet, but it will be. The Aurora Games is going to be coming in. Not sure how that's going to do yet. The advertising doesn't start until August 1st. So there's, I think, somewhere close to $75,000 worth of advertising in TV, radio, print, social media, which is, you won't be able to turn a TV on and not see spots with the Aurora Games. Many people have questioned how come they haven't seen anything on it. The philosophy of the producer is to wait for the last 3 weeks because they believe that that's the way this event needs to be marketed. It's scary when you do that because ticket sales right now are not where they need to be, but we're not at risk. The county's not at risk, nor is SMG. But I do think that it'll sell tickets. I think that the public out there has a buzz on this event, and I think it'll grow. And if it does well, there's a chance that it would come back every couple of years and make a home here. And it's being broadcast on ESPN each of 6 nights live, internationally, not just domestically. So it really is going to put Albany on a situation where you can be seen by so many across the country. We've got a lot of people that have inquired from other countries, you know, what there is to do in town and, you know, where the good restaurants are and so forth. So the CVB, Discover Albany, is doing a great job of getting the word out about our market and what there is available when people come in. But it's ironic, the way that these inquiries are coming in and how they're traveling up here by train from New York City, flying to JFK, not necessarily driving, not necessarily flying it, but taking the train. There's quite a few people that are doing that. But anyway, I've kind of got off kilter there. If there's any questions on the financials, I'd be happy to answer.
Would you like to comment a little bit on the Albany Empire and how that's met your expectations and your projections?
Sure. It actually has exceeded my expectations. Our market, Albany, has set the bar for a lot of things. They're actually using our operations, and I give credit to Nate and our people for working with the Empire. The way that they put the block parties on, the way that they put the entertainment on during the games and so forth. A lot of that's the Empire, but it has to coexist and operationally be done with our folks. But the attendance has set records here in Albany. We're at about 900 to 9,500 average per game. Revenues have exceeded what we had budgeted for the games. Doesn't hurt that they're in first place. They've only lost 1 game. They're going into the playoff game on Saturday in the #1 position. If they win Saturday, and then if they win away on the 3rd of August, then we will host the Arena Bowl on the 11th of August. And that Arena Bowl will be broadcast, I believe, on ESPN, but I'm not 100% sure.
ESPN2.
ESPN2.
Season ticket holder.
There you go. So what do you think? I mean, it must be...
Everybody in my family likes it.
Yeah.
They love it. And it's exciting. It's an easy way to come downtown, have a great evening.
Yeah.
With something exciting that's real Albany.
Yeah. And they are going to grow again. You know, they added a team, actually added a team this year. They've got, I believe it's Cleveland and Raleigh coming in next year. And I think Tampa's going to be coming back into the AFL. They were in the AFL in the past. They're going to be coming back in, from what I understand. They're also targeting Chicago and a couple of other cities for the following year. So I think you'll see this league within the next 3 years probably be at about 12 teams. And it'll be on course for one of the best leagues in the country.
Any other questions, comments? If not, that's our business is complete. I'd entertain a motion for adjournment. Mr. Smith? Mr. Miller, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned.